I can't hardly hear that. You're listening to Power Talk with Beth and Melody in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power, absolute power in truth. I'm having some phone problems. I can just barely hear. And they said I'm too loud. So, good morning, Melody. Good morning, America.
Good morning, Beth. We had a few technical issues prior to connecting to our producers, so I think they're kind of worked out, but we'll see as we move along. And I had my computers worked on last night, so we're fingers crossed.
It's your fault.
Oh, it's my fault. Okay.
It's your fault. She told me to turn my volume up. Now she's telling me I'm too loud. My computer won't bring up my volume thing so I can adjust it. Okay.
Well,
anyway.
Well, good morning to you. Good morning to all the listeners. I'm here today. It's Friday.
Yes.
Beth said I just couldn't take off another day.
That's what I told her.
Yes. Yes. So I'm here, but we're going to have open mic Friday today?
We are. Open mic Friday because we want to hear what you have to say. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I think I fixed my volume, so I think we're good. I think we're good. Well, yesterday, I actually took part of the afternoon off. I had some appointments and errands to run. And I got home later than, well, I don't know if it's really later than usual, but I missed the live edition of when General Kelly had his press conference. And so my husband was telling me about it. And as he's explaining this to me, he's trying to tell everything that General Kelly said, and he's trying to keep it in some sort of order, you know. And my husband was moved to tears.
I was.
Because of what General Kelly had said. And I went back and I listened to it. And, of course, then I watched the late shows and listened to it again. And it's a normal person would say he was a gentleman putting somebody in their place, putting several somebodies in their place. But it really hasn't worked. I've grown to believe, Melody, that the left have no hearts. And, I saw just a little snippet of The View, and I can't think of the actor's name, Woody Harrelson, I think that's his name. He was on there, and so was, Meathead off of the, what is his name, Reiner.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about how this was prior to yesterday. This was the day before. And they were just talking about this phone call and how heartless, and he has no compassion for anyone. I think he's an idiot. And they just go on and on and on about President Trump. And, of course, we know who started this, and it's this Democratic Florida Representative Frederica Wilson. And she yesterday, after what the general has said, was laughing and bragging that the White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, said he was stunned Thursday. You mean to tell me that I've become so important that the White House is following me in my words? She says they made her a rock star. This woman is still gloating. She's still an idiot. She's still gloating. She has absolute, and they say that President Trump has no compassion. General Kelly, as you know, said his advice was for him not to make the call. Go ahead and write the letter. But Donald Trump said he felt compelled to make the phone call. And he made the phone call to all of those soldiers that were killed in this particular event, battle, or whatever you want to call it, attack. And Bill O'Reilly, of course, he says that the Democrats just set him up. This woman listened in on that phone call. This was a private phone call. I don't know how she listened in, if she got permission from the wife or what, but she listened in on this phone call and then went after the president. And General Kelly, who is also a Gold Star parent because his son was killed in Afghanistan, came out in that press conference and talked about it. He never mentioned her name. That's what I said. It was a taking down by a gentleman. He never mentioned her name. And I have said for a long time that the problem in America goes much deeper than these two parties that are always bickering. The bickering is a distraction, as you will talk about here in a little bit with the budget. But I just can't imagine how cold-hearted this woman is, that she's still doing this. Does she think that this family, these friends of this soldier that was killed, don't hear this stuff? I started to say a bad word. Do you think that they're not listening? I pray to God they're not listening to her. What a slap in their faces. What a slap in everyone's faces. She looks the fool, and she's too foolish to know that she's a fool. Anyway, I was very moved by General Kelly's takedown, how he explained what it meant to him, and that he spent an hour and a half with the best men and women he knew in Arlington to get away from this, to go where it really counts. I mean, this guy gave his life. I mean, he dedicated his life to the military. He's retired now, but he's a retired Marine, and I also saw Oliver North on, I believe it was Tucker Carlson. Somebody had asked him. I got into that conversation in the middle, Melody, but they said Oliver North said somebody once told him. He said that must have been the hardest day of your life when you left the White House, and he said no. The hardest days of my life were when I had to hold a dead Marine in my arms. And General Kelly said that he walked among the fallen in Arlington, knowing that his orders put some of them there. Mm-hmm. We haven't got a clue what these men go through. And my father served in World War II. My father-in-law served in World War II, was shot down and was a prisoner of war in Germany in World War II. My son did not serve during wartime, but my son served in the Army. My brother served, he's a Marine, and he served in Vietnam, and he is now disabled because of Agent Orange. So this woman, and that's all I can call her because she doesn't even deserve that kind of respect, is all about herself. They made me a rock star. She needs somebody else to slap her down.
Well, she needs mental help. They need mental help. I mean, it's it is just truly amazing, and it does really show where this country is, that this person can be elected and reelected, and along with many of the other politicians that are sitting in there. I saw most of the interview. I didn't see the whole thing of Kelly when he was talking to the press, and it was very moving. And he did say a lot of other things. He talked about how, when he was younger. Well, it wasn't even just, the discussion of the military men, but he did go in a little bit further about where we are as a nation, as a country, as far as what we believe. He says women are under attack more so than they were 40 years ago. Our religion is under attack more than it was 40 years ago. And he went on and he listed some other things. This is where, and it is really true. You have women out there that are, it's all power to the women, and these women that are supposed to support the women, and yet women are being more disgraced than we were 40 years ago. Same way with our religion. So he made some powerful statements, not only in reference to, what he was talking about, to the phone call and about his son and so forth, but it was a very moving press conference that he gave. And I get Mr. Trump, but my thought was, here's a 71-year-old man, and he doesn't know how to give any sympathy, and to have to ask, what do you say? And
well, now, Melody, don't go there.
And I'm not criticizing. It was just a curious thought.
I've got sons in the ministry. And I've got sons in the ministry. It's very difficult. No one knows what to say. You know, when somebody loses someone, nobody knows what to say, and a lot of times we say it wrong. We don't mean to, but he didn't say it wrong, and he said what General Kelly told him to say. Yes. You know, General Kelly said he was brave to even attempt to do it.
He was,
not everyone can be that kind of person. But I think Donald Trump did well. I think the president did well. I don't know what he said, if he stuttered or stumbled over his words. I don't know.
And really, this isn't even an issue about what he said. It really is about the congresswoman or representative. I mean, because and I'm glad.
It's about, yeah.
You know, it's her poor behavior,
and it continues.
It continues. And again, they continue to expose themselves of just the type of people they really are.
The mainstream media, how they went off on this. They've not talked about this other stuff that's going down that looks like treason. I mean, it looks like treason to the hilt.
Absolutely.
And they're not talking about that. Not at all. And but they're going to talk about a phone call. And I had an article, and I didn't get to actually read it. And it was a statement from Bill O'Reilly, said that the Democrats set the president up. Well, you know they did. So I don't know who all was in on it, but yes, they did. They set him up. So somebody in there knew he was going to make that phone call. Because, as General Kelly explained, the phone call comes first. Will you accept the phone call from the president? Because of the situation, because of the grief. Yes. Sometimes you're not ready to take a phone call. You know, you're just not ready to take that phone call. You know, even in losing my parents, and they were up in years. I mean, they died my dad died of cancer. He was 86. My mother died when she was in her 90s of Alzheimer's. She suffered the last 15 years with that. And maybe not quite that many years, but 10 or 12, something like that. She suffered a long time with Alzheimer's. And, you know, even then, you're not, the grief is something that you're not always ready to take a phone call. You're not always ready to answer the front door.
I understand.
And so they do that. They have a pre-phone call to tell them the president would like to speak with you. Are you willing to take that phone call? So he was set up. There's no doubt about it that they set him up, and they're using in such an ugly way, politicizing this young man's death and going after the president. I was very proud of General Kelly coming out. I didn't think the president should continue to defend himself. I'm glad that President Kelly, whoops, Freudian slip. I'm glad that General Kelly came out as he did and spoke, and it was very heartfelt.
It very much was.
Yeah, and I'm going to concentrate on CSC Talk Radio on those he called it sacred. What's no longer sacred. He thought at least this would be sacred, and it appears that it is not. We are heading into the first break of the hour. Your calls are welcome. It is Open Mic Friday. 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218. Open Mic Friday means we'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about. 717-300-1218. This is your day, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Yuji. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks. It is Open Mic Friday. We want to hear what you have to say. It's supposed to rhyme. It's Open Mic Friday. We want to hear what you have to say. What happened to my rhyme? I don't know. I'm kind of off. We'll talk about almost anything. 717-300-1218, 717-300-1218. I want to talk just a little bit more about the left. I believe that I wrote an article about it about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. The left are the true bullies. Mm-hmm. And I think this proves it. If nothing else proves it, if nothing else that has happened in the last couple of years has proved to you that they are the bullies, then I don't know what will. But Jake Trapper, he was going to he interviewed a Gold Star dad, and I guess the idea is to prove that, yes, we really do have compassion and love in our hearts. So he starts interviewing this Gold Star father, and he asks him how it made him feel when President Barack Obama called him after his son's death. And the Gold Star father, his name is Paul Monty, said, well, let's get the record straight. President Barack Obama called me 3 years after my son was killed because he called me about that he was up for the Medal of Honor. Excuse me. Then he says, well, how did you feel? Did it bother you when President Barack Obama didn't call you? He just kept making stupid mistakes because he hadn't done his homework. It was President Bush that was president during the time that his son was lost in battle. It was not President Barack Obama. And then the interview, as I saw it, that's where it ended. Oh, that was President Bush. He goes, yes. And the Gold Star father said, yes, it was President Bush. And that's where it stopped what I watched. But, he had nothing right. You and I go off each morning as we try to go on the air and we think, well, what do we have prepared? He didn't prepare for that interview. He just jumped in there and thought he was going to, make some kind of case against President Donald Trump. And it didn't happen. It was a train wreck all the way around because he didn't have his act together. And this Wilson woman, she deserves no respect. And if Florida's going to keep electing people like that, they don't deserve to have anything, in my opinion. That is just absolutely ridiculous, how her behavior is, and the fact that now she claims that the White House made her a rock star, and she made fun of General Kelly's heartfelt speech and the fact that he was stunned by her behavior, just absolutely stunned. These people are clueless. I'm convinced they are absolutely clueless to anything in real life. They don't live in reality, and it just goes on and on. Anyway, I was impressed, and as you were, and moved and tearful with General Kelly's speech, his takedown of, how we feel about this nation. You and I do this because we care so deeply. And I tell my listeners on CSE, I don't always get it right, but I try. But my heart is for this nation. First of all, my heart is for God. And that is the reason we're really in the mess we're in. The left, if you'll remember, the Democrat Party, not this last election, but in the election of 2012, twice during their convention, they booed God. They're gone. The Democrat Party of our grandparents or great-grandparents, they're gone. And religion was one thing that General Kelly said, used to be considered sacred. Sacred. And it's not anymore.
And of course, without that being sacred, how can you view women as sacred? How can you view anything else as sacred?
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, he made some powerful statements, and I hope this no longer is a distraction. But once again, I guess if you wanted to look at the positive, she has been exposed to her hate, to her views, to perhaps she won't be elected and she'll be thrown out, and she can no longer, although she'll still get the benefits. She'll still get the benefits of being. Yeah, she's set for life. But maybe we should.
My son. We'll move on. My son was in the Army, and he hadn't been out too terribly long, maybe a year or two. And I don't remember his name, I don't remember his rank, but there was an officer that was speaking at the rotunda, the Capitol, and he went down there to hear him. He happened to be a Christian, and of course my son is a pastor, and he went down to hear him, and I hope I can quote this right, but the officer that was giving the speech, he was the keynote speaker of the day, he said, someone asks about sides, this side or that side, and he quoted out of the scripture where the angel appeared to Joshua and said, I'm of the Lord's army. There shouldn't be this side and that side, and that's the way it is here right now in our nation, Melody. It shouldn't be right and left. We should be trying to follow, not that we're always going to get it correct, but we should at least have a common denominator that we're going to follow the rule of law and follow God. Our Constitution, as it was said, that it is not meant for an immoral people, and you can see it collapsing because we seem to have no morals left. We hold nothing sacred. We don't hold religion sacred. We don't hold women sacred. We don't hold, what else? I have it all written down here, what he said. Life. That's what he said, was life. And we don't hold life sacred. Look at the abortion. Look how she's behaving. We've lost this man, this young man. His wife's pregnant. That baby will never know his daddy. And she's politicizing this. She has absolutely no respect for the life that's gone or those that are left living. None whatsoever. It's all about her. She became a rock star. And General Kelly was right. There seems to be nothing left that's sacred.
But Defense Secretary James Mattis, he is looking into what happened over there, troubled by the lack of information, even 2 weeks after the ambush in Niger, which left 4 of the U.S. soldiers dead. He's demanding a timeline of what is known about the attack. And there was a team of investigators that was sent to West Africa to begin their work in trying to find something out. There's a growing list of unanswered questions, and the inability to construct a precise account of the October 4th incident is, again, causing the White House some problems. And so they do need, even John Kelly says, we do need to find out what happened and why.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And, the problem is, what were they doing there? I mean, even Rand Paul's talking about the 7 wars that we're involved in. What are we doing? What are these soldiers there to begin with? I get that we're supposed to bring them home, but yet I get there has to be some sort of a presence. I get all that, but yet we're running all these
battles
South
are
Korea,
not just presence.
yeah, these battles, and we're there to protect the Republic of Korea, that we talked about yesterday with the military doing the USS Reagan in the seas over there doing training missions with the South Koreans and Japan. So it's like, what are we doing? We do need to have answers. But then again, you look at who's asking the answers, and hopefully, fingers are crossed, we might have better men in there today to get to the answers. But, look at Benghazi. I mean, everything is just always pushed under the rugs. No one is ever held accountable for poor decisions when people's lives are lost. And it's, it's time. And hopefully, maybe, with Kelly, maybe with these who we have in with Mattis, maybe we'll get some answers. But they continue to disappoint. They continue to disappoint us as far as their abilities to get to the bottom. We'll see what happens with the investigation with Russia and the uranium. Is anybody going to be held accountable for that? And yet the people that are sitting in those that are investigating and thinking, yes, people should be, will they? And because they all have something to lose. We talked about the budget, last night, middle of the night, the Republicans, they passed the budget, $4 trillion budget plan that they were able to muscle through the Senate. And just the word muscled, what bargains, what deals, who was paid off in order to get this budget passed, to no regard to the citizens of this country who have to pay. It's just like, where are the cuts? They want to cut Medicare, they want to cut Medicaid, and I agree.
Those are the only things they ever mention.
They're the only things that they ever mention. But the fact of the matter is, they had to get this budget passed, because if they got this budget passed, then they didn't have to worry about having any of the Democrats on board for passing the tax reform.
Did you ever hear of an organization, Strong America Now?
I don't think I have.
I can't remember the gentleman's name. I had them on the air on CSC Talk Radio a couple times. This was during the other election in 2012. And they were trying at the very beginning, it was before the primaries had even taken place, and they were getting all the candidates together to sign up for they took a class on Strong America Now, and it was about cutting the budget. It was eliminating the debt. And this guy is supposed to be I wish I could remember his name. You might recognize that. But what he was going to do, and I'm just simplifying it because I did not take the lessons. And by the way, all the candidates except Romney signed up for it, including Newt Gingrich. They all signed up for the lessons except for Mitt Romney. It was taking each department, instead of just eliminating the department, each department was to be cut 25%. Everybody can cut 25%, he said. And then it was reevaluated for the next year, and they did it again. And there's more to it than that. That's very simplistic, and there's more to it. But he claimed that he could eliminate the debt by X time year. He had the year and the date and da-da-da-da. But it's interesting that when they do this budget, when they start talking to the American people, the only things that are going to be harmed are the defense and Medicare or Medicaid. That's Social Security. Those are the only things they ever talk about. And you and I both know, if we went and looked at the ledgers, there's a whole lot of stuff that could be checked off and done away with or cut by 25%.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like all the researches that they do, you know, like the mating of a frog, all the grants that they give to these scientists to prove that there is climate change instead of analyzing the true facts. And we know that there's all kinds of stuff that could be cut, but the only ones they ever mention, and it's to scare people, is the defense, Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. Those are the only things they ever mention. And it infuriates me because it's like they're holding everybody hostage, which is exactly what they're doing. So we go back to General Kelly's word about sacred, that the taxpayers' money is not considered sacred. You know, so they're going to give us stimulus dollars, or they're going to give us a raise through tax reform, and I'm not against the tax reform, don't get me wrong, but it's a slap in the face because it's our money that they are abusing and using and refuse to stop spending, and they can't get enough ways to take your money. That everything is against us, it seems like, but because we allow it. Anyway,
I mean, I'm not against tax cuts.
Oh, absolutely not.
But the problem is, you can have tax cuts, you know, but we're so deep in debt, this country is bankrupt. It's just like a person that doesn't have the money, you know, to pay for his mortgage, and he's making $100 a week, and, you know, he gets a decrease in wages. It's not going to work. You know, and I don't see where it's going to bring back jobs. It's going to bring back some, I'm sure. You're going to see a little blip in the economy. But just like Ronald Reagan, when he had the massive tax cuts, he increased the national debt by 130%. So what do you think this is going to do this time around? You know, so, you know, by passing the budget, you know, that kind of greases the wheel for the tax package by enabling the Republicans, the Senate Republicans, to put it through without any fear of a filibuster. So they'd only need, they're back to needing only the 50 votes in order to get it passed. They don't need any Democrats to get the tax cuts approved. And I get this is the way Washington works, but, you know, some of the most heavily courted senators was Claire McCaskill of Missouri, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota. They dined at the home of Ivanka and her husband, Jared. You had Rand Paul playing golf. And I guess the art of the deal is in works. And in the meantime, the people don't get the truth. I'm sorry, but we don't get the truth. And the newly adopted Senate budget plan provides for a 1.5 supposedly trillion over 10 years in debt-financed tax cuts, busting earlier Republican pledges of strict fiscal discipline. The money would be used for the tax plan's cut in the corporate tax rate. We all know about that. Under congressional rules, the non-binding budget resolution is supposed to lay out a long-term fiscal framework for the government. This year's measure calls for $473 billion in cuts from Medicare over 10 years and more than $1 trillion from Medicaid. All told, Senate Republicans would cut spending by more than $5 trillion over a decade, though they don't attempt to spell out where the cuts would come from. I mean, it's just a joke.
So,
it's just a joke.
Let's look at this. We've already got, before they ever did Obamacare, we were already way in debt. Okay? So what do? Well, let's decide we're going to fix health care. People are paying too much for health care. So they add to the burden. They add to the burden through a national health care plan. And they force insurance. And it's not about health care, it's about insurance. So let's say they couldn't afford insurance rather than they couldn't afford health care. They couldn't afford insurance. So they add to the burden with more taxes instead of saying, the people are hurting, let's see what we can do to stop taking so much of their money away from them. They always come up with a different idea. Well, we're going to do this plan. It's going to cost X amount of dollars, and you're going to love it. And, of course, the American people are the ones who are footing the bill for whatever the cause or case may be. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And we've got to get smart enough.
And who really does benefit? Who really does benefit?
Whoever those people are lobbying
in Washington.
For. The insurance companies were benefiting. Some of them got the shaft on that.
They're making not very many. Not very many got the shaft. Not very many.
There was a few at the beginning that, I say at the beginning within the first year that were going down. But then then they're all whining because President Trump took away the subsidies, and we're not going to pay them just because they lost money. And, let's pay the American people because they lost money.
Some of I think we talked about it on this program, the stock shares of the companies, the insurance companies that are whining the most are up 700%, 800%, 500%, 300%. So, they're whining and crying about, it's not working, they're not making any money, but yet their shares and their wages, that meant long ago that one of the top CEOs of an insurance company made over $1 billion. Well, yeah, I'd like to have a part of that for my wages. It's just, it's frustrating because, we just don't get the truth.
Well, I'm not greedy. I don't need $1 billion. If I did get $1 billion, I would share with you, Melody.
Would you?
We'd
share with the listeners too.
We absolutely would. What could we do? We could be like Oprah and give everybody a car.
I'm so glad she came out and said that she is not running in 2020. I was really concerned because she'd get elected.
Everybody
would vote for her.
When she was first,
good grief.
When she first got into the limelight, she gave acknowledgement to God. She quit doing that when she got big and rich and famous.
They all do.
She no longer acknowledges God. And she's forgotten where she came from.
They all do.
She has
many
definitely.
Do, not all, but many.
Yeah.
But we don't have any callers, and this is supposed to be...
I don't know what's wrong with them, You guys are making me look bad. I told Melody how well you do on
they're going to make me feel... I'm going to start feeling, a little... No one's calling while I am here, so maybe they don't want to talk to me.
That's not it, Melody. I assure you that's not it. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. The problem is you and I are having the conversations, and they like to listen. So that's what's really going on. But
we'd like to
somebody give us a call. Melody's feeling bad. 717-300-1218.
Now I'm going to feel really bad if no one calls. I'll feel worse.
Oh, Lord. I take it back. Well, I'm going to change the subject just a little bit. What we have going on is absurdities in this nation.
Wow.
And we just read one after another of people that are just nuts. I mean, they're just, sometimes you need to tell them, stop thinking. Just stop thinking. This is problematic women. A mom's they fret over the Disney's Moana's costumes being cultural inappropriate. It's cultural appropriation. Now? And so for her little girl wanted to be this Mona, is it Moana? Moana. She wanted to be Moana. She's the little Hawaiian princess or something. I didn't see the movie. I didn't see it. But the mother's concerned about cultural appropriation. So it's like, this goes back to being what's held sacred. Teaching people to respect who they are. God made you who you are. I don't know what color you are, but God made you who you are, and you need to be proud of it. If you're a female, you need to be proud that you're a female. If you're a male, you need to be proud that you're a male. But they're worried about the whiteness, the white privilege, and she would be cultural inappropriate if she dressed up like Moana, the little Hawaiian princess or whatever she was in that movie. And it's like, seriously, stop thinking. Just stop thinking. Well, we're going into another break. You all are making me look bad. I'm not very happy with you right now. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Oh, look, we've got a call. We will get to David in Iowa as soon as we come back from this break, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and I want to thank you. 2 of you have called in, and Melody will feel much better now. We have David.
I hope.
David, how are you today? Welcome.
Oh, pretty good, ladies. Melody, you might remember me. I call you once in a while.
Thank you, David. Good morning.
Anyway, you said a name that got my attention here. This General Mattis. Mr. Trump called him a general's general. Here's a quote. Actually, it's quite fun to fight them, you know. It's a hell of a hoot, Lieutenant General Mattis controversially said at a panel discussion in San Diego in 2005. It's fun to shoot some people. I'll be right up there with you. I like brawling. That guy's a piece of work. He likes to shoot people.
There's a reason why they call him Mad Dog.
He's a Marine.
Yeah. Five things to know about James Mattis. And it's on the salon.com website. That guy's a real piece of work.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. You know, and again, he earned his nickname.
Named Mad Dog, yes,
you know, if you really dig into a lot of these backgrounds and see, you know, where they truly come from and so forth, they all have a history. And some of them you can agree with and some of them you certainly can disagree with. And so we'll see how Mad Dog performs in his position. But, yeah, and you know, it's... you know, I will, you know, hold my judgment. So
absolutely.
Well, that's a pretty wicked statement, in my opinion. I don't know.
It is. It is.
Well, it does sound pretty wicked. Yeah, it does.
It is. I agree with you.
Marines talk like that, though. I know a few of them, and they do talk like that, but I don't think they all feel that way exactly, but they do talk like that. They talk pretty darn tough. So I know that because I have a brother. I have a brother who's a Marine. And but you know, David, when I asked him, I said, "You love it so much. Why didn't you make a career out of it?" Because when he came home from Vietnam, he I don't know if you'd call it retired, but he got out of the service when his time was up after that, and he looked at me. Now my brother's a big old tough guy. He's a big old tough guy, and he looked at me and he said, "'Cause sis, I just was tired of killing people." Mm-hmm. So, you know. They're big old tough Marines, and they do what they have to do. And he took care of my mother when she had Alzheimer's, and I look up to him. He and I don't agree on a lot of things, but I really, really look up to my big brother. Thank you, David.
Thank you,
appreciate the call. All right. Yeah. We have Norm from Illinois. Norm, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Pardon?
What's on your mind?
Oh, I was just going to make the point, in my own thoughts, that this thing with this Florida woman was all to take all this talk away about what's going on with these new charges that they're investigating with Hillary and that. It's
you got
just
it right. It's a distraction. Yeah.
And I was hoping you girls would land on that with both feet because nobody's hearing about it. It's not in the news. If you don't listen to these sideband radio shows and that, nobody'd know about it.
You're right.
And it irks me. It's always a distraction. They'll throw anything out there and give you anything but the news.
And we talked about that earlier in the show, that you're hearing nothing except for this banter from this woman and many of the others. I said on The View. Did I say that before we went on the air, or was that after we went on the air? We have so many conversations where they were talking about it. It was Reiner, meathead from Archie Bunker, and then the guy that I've lost his name too. But they were talking about how lacking Woody Harrelson, thank you. How lacking in compassion the president is, and that they thought he was an idiot, and just calling him all kinds of names. And this is coming out of Hollywood, that has Weinstein and other people taking advantage of young women who think they're going to be stars, and yet it's the president. And none of the mainstream media, none of them are mentioning any of the true Russian collusion, which is more like treason. And you're absolutely right. It is a distraction. Like in The Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Watch this idiot from Florida. look. So you're absolutely right, Norm.
Well,
and,
I thought I'd throw that in because I was vibrating in circles when this all broke out, and I saw what the press was doing, and it steamed me so bad.
Yep.
And they'll do anything to keep Hillary out of prison. And, well, Hillary, I think she probably told them all that if I go down, you all go with me.
You know what?
Absolutely.
I don't want to pay for her lifetime in prison. I think she needs to be executed if she really did this. And that's just me.
Well,
so if this comes to be and it's really treason, there's a lot of people that need to be made an example of because we can't handle this in this nation. So appreciate it, Norm.
That's why Trump got in, because he threatened to put her behind bars. And everybody wanted to see it.
I don't know. She's been whining ever since. I think she made some deals and somebody reneged on a deal, and that's why she didn't get elected. And that's just my opinion. She thought she had it bought and paid for. Appreciate it, Norm. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Norman.
We haven't mentioned discount gold and silver trading all day. We need to mention that. Discount Gold and Silver Trading is the sponsor of Power Talks, the sole sponsor right at this moment of Power Talks. And being prepared is something that we all need to do. The truth is right there. We need to pay attention, watch what's going on, and give Melody a call at 375-4188. Is that right? 375-4188. Appreciate all that you do, Melody.
Thank you. 800-375-4188. You know, when he brought to us about distractions, one of the biggest distractions we have is our economy. And we have, we have the stock markets hitting record highs. We have discussions, it just doesn't seem that nothing matters. And as long as they continue with distractions in other areas, things will just mosey on along, and no one seems to pay much attention. And we've had so many distractions. We've had, I've talked about the emotional distractions that we've had with the hurricanes. I mean, my gosh, when they were going on, it was 24/7. I mean, you couldn't find anything
And now
else.
We hear nothing. And now
you hear absolutely nothing. We've had the fires. There's even no follow-ups. There's no updates on what are Las Vegas. I mean, certainly there's some programs that are, trying to find the truth and so forth, what happened in Las Vegas, but I'm just talking mainstream media. You hear nothing. You don't even hear talk of gun control, which shocks me.
Well, I think because they made a mistake at the very beginning and said repeal the Second Amendment, and even people for gun control aren't for that. But,
but still, you don't even hear any mutterings, which...
The mainstream media has one mission.
They do.
And one mission only, and that's to destroy the president.
To destroy this country.
Well, that's
president.
True.
Yes.
That's right.
They are the elite. They are the one world order. They are and I saw where...
For all the chaos, we call it order, but it's really chaos.
We saw Obama and Bush come out speaking against the administration yesterday.
Yes.
Even Paul Ryan was at a dinner last night, and I was really shocked. It was a roast. So when you have a roast, you do have a tendency to, say things about people, supposed to be funny. But he really hit on Mr. Trump. And I was really surprised that he spent so much focus, and it was a liberal group. And I'm just thinking, I wonder what he's going to be getting today from Mr. Trump. Now, maybe it was already approved by Mr. Trump on the things that he was going to say in this roast, but I was really quite shocked at some of the things that he said. So distractions is their game, conquer and divide.
I hear music. The song to this is called Free. And that's one reason I suggested we go off the air with this, because regardless of what's going on, if you are a child of God, you are free. Even even in captivity, you are free. And right here, right now, with Power Talks and the other shows that we do and Melody's business, we're trying to hang on to our independence and our freedom right here in the United States of America. And we can't do that without hanging on to God. Melody, thank you so much. You have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
And same to the listeners. Take care and God bless.
Stay free.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.